Welcome everyone. It's Wednesday, which means it's time for Midweek Connect. I'm Ryan and I'm one of the pastors here, and I just want to say thank you so much for joining us from wherever you might be. This is just a quick time for us to connect halfway through the week or anytime during the week. If you're watching live with us, please feel free to join the chat in the comments. We've got our pastors there to connect with you, to pray with you, and to answer any questions you might have. Lastly, we'd love it if you share this video with your friends and family. It's a great way to invite people to experience the love and the grace of Jesus and this awesome online community.
We are here for Midweek Connect, and we are very pleased to have Tammy Marine here with us. She's the Executive Director of the Inland Valley of Habitat for Humanity. And so we're going to have a good time talking about Habitat, but also about the broader needs of the community, particularly the underprivileged. So, Tammy, tell us about Habitat for Humanity. We know about it. We've heard about it. We may have seen the houses or drive by the houses.
Yeah.
But what exactly does Habitat Humanity do?
So Habitat for Humanity is a nonprofit affordable housing developer, but we also improve living conditions, and we do that in a variety of ways. So our keystone program, so to speak, is our self-help home ownership program. So we help low-income families through the use of sweat equity and a no-interest loan achieve their dream of home ownership. And that's really the crux of what we do. But around that, we also do a substantial number of home improvements to kind of sustain, especially seniors, so they can age in place. We have a couple restores that we operate to help people improve their living conditions just by buying low-cost materials. And we do education as well to help people prepare in their own fruition to move into home ownership eventually.
Well, that's fantastic. And you had mentioned that Habitat for Humanity is an international organization. So
it is.
How broad is the reach of Habitat?
So Habitat serves 70 countries around the world, which is pretty amazing. So I'm really proud of our presence all over. For instance, in Haiti, 25% of the rebuilding that's been done in Haiti was as a result of Habitat for Humanity.
That's astounding.
And we're a Christian organization, and so we tithe to our parent organization 10% of undesignated funds. And so if you want your donation to stay local, it's going to stay here. But if it isn't designated, it goes to support third world countries. And so within the United States, there's about 1,400 affiliates, and we serve Southwest Riverside County.
All right. So if somebody donates to Habitat for Humanity, those dollars support families that are right here in our own community. These are our neighbors, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's cool. And so, many of us might know where some Habitat housing is around town, and they're beautiful homes.
Oh, thank you.
So they're dignified homes that that the homeowners really it's their house, and they take great care of it, and there's a pride around that, and it's really fun. So if a family say wants to be a Habitat home recipient, what would that process be like?
So they would contact our office, they would get on a wait list, and when we have an info meeting, we have an informational meeting for each project as it comes up, because there's often different stipulations attached depending on how we acquired the land. And so we kind of walk them through a process. Our last house we just completed right before COVID, actually about a month before, thank goodness, in Lake Elsinore, and we had 60 applicants apply for that house. Only one person got the house, but our application process is so comprehensive that, in my belief, all of the applicants gain because they get a better idea of their financial situation, what they need to do to improve on things, and even resources on how they can attain homeownership on their own. So it's a pretty cool process.
That's great. So even the applicants who may not have received the house, they get an education on the process of becoming a homeowner, perhaps, or some things about their profile they can work on to improve their situation. And it sounds like you essentially do a little bit of case management with each of the applicants, even
we do.
To get them where they need to go.
We do. And once they get into the program, if they're accepted as a potential homeowner, then they're matched with what we call a partner advocate. And that person mentors them for a year before they go into the house and a year after. And most often they bond and they stay connected forevermore. But it really helps people to transition from where they were to become a successful homeowner. So we're really proud of that piece too.
Now, to build a house, the land is acquired maybe through a municipal relationship, something like that. And then there are supplies that are maybe donated or low-cost supplies. And then you mentioned sweat equity. These are maybe volunteers who come in and help actually build the home. And so you end up with a very low-cost home that helps a family. Is that essentially the model?
Yes, that is the model. It's harder than it used to be to get those in-kind donations of materials because the construction industry overall has been greatly impacted with a lot of different factors. One of the factors is that people are sending their kids to college or encouraging kids to go to college. And so young people aren't necessarily thinking of the trades as a career option, even though it's a great career path. And so there are less people in the industry than there were before. And another thing is that the cost of building continues to go up. And of course, with the need for affordable housing, it's more difficult. But we do try to get as many donations as we can, and it really helps us to be able to sustain the program.
That's fascinating. I knew that there were some changes in the industry, but to see how that trickles down to the work at Habitat, that's fascinating. So a little bit more difficult, but you're still determined on that mission, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Not just to build the houses, but there's a broader work about around low-income housing in general. And boy, this is something that we're interested in as well. We operate housing, low-income, transitional income, and then also the permanent supportive housing as well. So it's all very complicated, but the affordability problem in America broadly, but in regions like ours, is really strangling a lot of lower income families in so many ways. How are you involved with the broader affordable housing cause?
Yeah. So, well, first I want to just say thank you because I know full well all the work that Rancho does to support families in affordable housing and your connection to the community mission of hope. It's commendable. But also, I'm the chairperson currently of the Board of Governance for the Continuum of Care, really attached to the challenges that go on in the county overall. My opinion about what's happening with affordable housing is, and it's not just because I work at Habitat, it's what I think about this stuff all the time. And one of the biggest challenges is that we don't have a tool to migrate people out of subsidized rental. And if we did, as an example, through self-help housing with Habitat for Humanity, it would help people to stabilize long-term, and it would help them to become self-sufficient, less reliant on government subsidies, and more apt to go on to bigger and better things. And so I'm very much an advocate for our program because I believe it holds a significant key to solving the affordable housing crisis.
So if I heard you right, this idea of permanent supportive housing is too permanent.
Well, here, let me say this. I think that for the homeless population, for low-income families in general, there needs to be a multitude of solutions. There's not just one. Habitat is one option, but as I mentioned on the Lake Elsinore house, there were 60 families that applied for that house. One family got it. Almost the entire 60 were in subsidized rental. So they basically were raising their hand and saying, I'm ready, I just need a place and a vehicle to get there, because the stretch from subsidy to fair market value rental,
that's huge,
or fair market value homeownership is too broad. And so people have no choice but to say where they're at. And I feel the system kind of robs that group, which is a percentage, but maybe it's 10%. If we are able to migrate 10% out of subsidized rental into homeownership, what a great contribution we would make to the entire continuum.
Absolutely. And then not, as people migrate out, that more houses for people to migrate in.
Right.
And so you get, and that's the whole idea of a continuum of care, is there's a constant movement to the next step of self-sufficiency,
right,
which allows more capacity than, for at every step of the way, which can help more families. It's very complicated.
It is complicated. It's so complicated.
Yeah. And it's perhaps more complicated in more affluent parts of the country, where housing prices are just massive.
Right.
And yet there's a sector of the population which is vital to our society. We have to have people who are in the construction industry and in the service industry, and yet there are so few options for them to live with dignity. It's a terrible problem. nationwide and locally. And I am just so grateful for you and Habitat and your work with the
thank
Continuum
you.
of Care
Yeah.
to work on solutions. Because you're right, there has to be a lot of different factors. And this is where we've got all nonprofits working together. Because we're all on the same team. We're accomplishing the same thing.
Absolutely.
We want to get people in that continuum of care and get them graduated to self-sufficiency. And Habitat has been leading the way for how long? How long has Habitat been
We've been here in the Valley since 1991, but our parent organization has been around since 76. So we've served 5 million people around the world, which
Seriously.
is really incredible.
That is astounding. We are in a pandemic, if you haven't heard.
Oh, God.
How has this pandemic impacted the work of Habitat in terms of the need and what you're doing to help people, and perhaps even donations?
Yeah. Well, the pandemic is a game changer for nonprofit organizations in general. So what happens when there are times of challenge, we saw the same thing with the housing crisis, is that people pull back from their philanthropy and their giving, and understandably so. And ironically, what happens during those times is that the need is significantly greater. So we're trying to find out creative ways that we can continue to serve needs and do more with less. And so I really encourage people to stay connected to the nonprofit community. It doesn't have to be Habitat. It's whatever they feel passionate about, whether it's Rancho, whether it's Habitat, Boys and Girls Club, Michelle's Place, it doesn't matter. Just stay connected, because we need you right now more than ever.
Well, that's very well said. I appreciate that. And it is easy to kind of pull back giving dollars, but what happens is the people who are most in need, they're
Right.
the ones who kind of get shortchanged. And that's a balance for people, is how do I still keep giving while protecting, what I need to protect in the home front. It is difficult, but
Yeah.
thank you for the encouragement to keep that generosity up
Yeah.
as much as possible. There are other ways to help as well. It could be if there are opportunities for sweat equity to get out there and maybe help out a little bit. Also, just shopping at your store can
Yeah.
help as well, right? So
Right.
tell us about that.
So we operate a couple of stores here in the area. Actually, there's two, with a third coming online, and we have an eBay store too. The Restore is home improvement, thrift store, for lack of a better word. So we sell about 50% brand new items, about 50% used items. And those used items, by the way, have diverted about 7,000 tons of trash out of local landfills by giving items a second use. So, for instance, if you replaced your white appliances with stainless steel, the white appliances might still work. There's a place for them to be sold to a low-income family or someone in need, and that's how it works. And the revenue stays with the programs.
That's great.
So it's an ingenious way to be able to support Habitat. We just opened our Temecula store last Wednesday, and then we will be opening a new location, actually in Temecula, by the end of the month. So we'll be announcing that really soon.
That's very exciting.
Yeah.
A while ago, I did buy a front door from
Oh,
a Restore.
awesome.
It was beautiful.
Thank you.
So you can donate there, any household items, and you can shop there as well, correct?
Right. Right now, during the pandemic, we're not accepting donations
Gotcha.
until we get to the next phase. But after that, of course, we will. And we're hoping to move as quickly as we can into that next area. And volunteers we're starting to bring our volunteers back. There's all kinds of ways that you can volunteer. The Restore, on a construction site, on a home improvement site, the list goes on.
So how do we get in touch with you?
So our website is habitativ.org, and you can get in touch with us there. One of the best ways to stay in touch is at the top of our website. There's a volunteer tab, couple quick questions, and you get an update every week on what the opportunities are. And we just love for people to stay connected.
Very good. Well, visit the website, and you can shop at the store as well. This is a good time actually to do some home improvement, right? You
Yes.
have a little more time at home.
Absolutely,
and shop at the
absolutely, and
Restore.
do it for a fraction of the cost while
right.
you're serving at the same time.
Very good. That's awesome. Well, Tammy, thank you so much. I mean, we certainly know about Habitat, and to hear more details about that, and to hear your heart for people, not just through the Habitat ministry, but really more broadly and regionally and even internationally, has been so much fun. And it's just good to get some good news like this as we're sitting at home and watching. And thank you for joining us every week, every Wednesday night and Sunday morning. We're so glad that you're here with us. Make sure to subscribe, like this, share this, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you so much.
It's so good to be able to connect with so many of you throughout the week. As we close today, I just want to remind you of a couple quick things. I hope you join us this coming Sunday for Church Online. All of our campuses, Temecula, Murrieta, and Español, have live streaming services, so just visit rancho.tv for more information. Also, please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel, Rancho United, so you don't miss anything from us, and we hope to see you again next time.